Hi everyone, this is Andrew Herman with the Libertyville Business Show, and today I am joined with Village Trustee Matthew Hickey. Friends call you Matt.
Matt, yes, that's good.
And we have an update. There was an article recently in the Daily Herald about a new village tax that is coming as of January 1st. This is not insider information, and Trustee Hickey is going to give us the scoop on what this new tax is,
right,
why, and kind of just the whole process of it all.
Sure. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Sure.
I really appreciate it.
You bet.
And this is, I love the Libertyville Business Show just because it keeps everybody informed.
That's
so
the
thank
whole
you.
point of it. Thank you.
I appreciate it. This week the village trustees voted unanimously to take our overall sales tax from 8% to 8.5% starting in January. And the reason being is that we want to use the dollars generated from that new increment, about $1.6 million a year, to fund the redevelopment or refurbishing of village facilities, and specifically for our police.
Okay.
And so that was the need that we saw was out there. When we first all got on as village trustees, as part of that onboarding process, we all got to go and see all the facilities and meet all the departments and all the department members. And really what it was the Shirts building was, and if you've been there, you know, it's an older facility. It's really not fit for the purpose, and it doesn't work functionally.
Okay, and in case we don't know exactly what the Shirts building is,
right,
is that
is the combined community development planning and buildings, and then the police department are in that building.
Okay.
And so it's just off of Main Street.
Right.
So it's really, and we then organized and worked with the Hesner Corporation here locally to look at a study of all of our facilities. And Hesner came back in February this past year and did their initial presentation of part one. And in that presentation, they said, you know, the police are challenged to use this building because it's certain elements of it aren't safe in terms of like having a sally port or segregating parking or how it's just physically laid out. And it just doesn't seem to be working for the police department.
In addition to that, not to interrupt, but what I've noticed just in walking into the police station is it feels tired and old and kind of not with it.
Yeah.
So I think it's time.
Right. And that's part of it too. I think as Mayor Johnson has kind of spoken about, it's like also you want to create environments that work for the workers that are there. And that also we are in at this point in time, kind of a competitive environment with trying to bring on officers to the force. And so having a new police department that really works is a way to also communicate to potential candidates that, you know, Libertyville is a destination community for your professional career.
Not only for attracting candidates, but how about morale too? Right. Just going into work every day. It's a tough job. Yes, I can't even imagine.
It is.
Especially in today's climate. So
it really is.
Yeah.
And our officers do a great job.
They do.
And our new chief. And you know, we work this entire time along with our administrative and finance team and the mayor and our chief and all the departmental heads to ask, you know, okay, what works best? So what this does, this new tax, is kind of like table setting.
Okay.
So it lets us know that we have this new increment of financing coming through, given the tax increase, that we can use when the time comes to float bonds that we can pay for. The nice part is, though, as part of this commitment, the village is going to take from its own resources, its own reserves. So just like a household, when you have a homeowner come forward, you look for what, 20% down or so.
Exactly.
What we wanted to make sure we did. So, you know, we've been blessed. The boards prior to this have really did a lot of repair work from what was, as you and I've talked about before, the amount of subsidy that we had to take from the general fund to support the Libertyville Sports Complex.
Right.
So over time, they've rebuilt that general fund cushion and reserve, and over the last 2 years, we've been able to put away a little bit more, socking away a little bit more, but knowing that we could deploy it for things like this. So we'll really be able to come in with what I think is over 20%, closer to 25% of the cost as equity.
That's great.
So really kind of reducing the cost. The other thing with coming to this decision on the tax was that we know also that all of our businesses and all of our retail businesses are in competitive environments. So we looked over the landscape of what are all of our near and peer communities charging in terms of their overall sales tax. And there were conversations with, do you go to 8.75? Do you go to 8.5? And we just decided, it's like, with the combination of equity that we could bring to the table and this new increment, let's just take the minimal amount that we can in order to get this funded and done. So that's the big reason why, because it starts from need.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Those are tough decisions.
Yeah.
So as a board, how did you all come together? Was there a lot of arm wrestling over this?
Not really, because I think, again, it's like everyone could see that we had this need out there. What it really was engaging a third-party consultant to help us look at what might be some of the alternatives and some of the costs involved.
Right.
So then we could get a viewpoint into, okay, then what will be the cost of the overall needs to address these issues.
Okay.
And so that's the good part. I keep on saying it's like, but we've only got like part one, right?
Okay.
So part two comes in a bit. Part two is the what. It's like, what transformation will you see? And that's to kind of something that we're still working on and negotiating at this point in time. So I don't kind of have that middle out there for you yet. And of course, the part three is like when you're standing in front of a building and you're cutting the ribbon and you're happy with that. So.
That would be insider information.
Yeah, that would be insider.
We're just going with
So
what's public.
What's public.
But part one was obviously a big rock to push up the hill.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was a lot of work. So January 1st, there's a new tax.
Right.
There's a retailer component to it. From what I
Well,
was reading?
so the way that it works, we have a non-home sales tax.
Okay.
And Illinois doesn't have necessarily like this is a retail tax. So we have a series of tax laws.
Right.
Let's just talk about it like overall. Overall, it blends up to this rate of 8.5%, 8.5%. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I guess maybe on the retail component, what you're asking is,
right.
So it'd be charged on not services,
right.
but say you go for a service and then you get your hair done and you get a product. So that's something they sell. Or you go to Ace and you get a hammer, then it's really on the sale of the hammer. So it's the tangible property.
Tangible, not the service.
Right. But here's the best part though,
right.
is that under Illinois law, it's not going to be applied to things like groceries, medications, or personal property like cars and boats that you buy. And also the benefit of this tax is it's not a real estate tax. This is purely a consumption driven tax.
Okay.
So it only applies to that. So it's not something that's going to be attached then to your, as you say, through your real estate, your taxes that you're charged there.
Thank you. That's an important distinction.
That's a big difference.
Because people just hear tax and they kind of freak out, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then just kind of the wonky part of it is because it's actually identified a source of financing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, what you're able to do is not use what we call general obligation debt, which typically has a higher rate of interest associated with it.
Right.
But we're able to actually float what we call an alternative revenue bond. And because that bond is attached to that specific line of new revenue that's coming in, it's at a really low rate. The last time we did it was 3.12%.
Okay.
And that's a lot lower than, say, I think where the county was with its last issuance was around 3.6%. And it's because Libertyville manages its finances very, very well.
They do.
Yeah.
So again, thank you to all involved.
Yeah.
I think that's about it. You've done a great summary. Is there anything more you want to add to the?
Well, I think the other thing I would add is this allows us to keep doing all the other good things that we're doing. So when you look at the improvements to Nicholas Dowden Park,
yes,
look at improvements to other parks that are going on, our roads and our other infrastructure, all of that can keep happening and it will happen. You and I have talked, it's like, I kind of feel like post the Golf Learning Center and Canlan taking over the sports complex, like a weight is lifted off in a certain way.
Right.
And so the village actually has this opportunity to look and say, well, what were those things that were untended?
Right.
Or could be more improved?
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't interrupt that process. It's all just an enhancement. So good days ahead.
Good days ahead,
Always
for
good
sure.
days ahead for
Libertyville progresses and remains competitive
Yeah.
in an ultra-competitive environment.
Yeah,
So thank you.
absolutely.
Matt, if people want to learn more about you and what your content and
Sure,
discussions of the
sure.
day, how do people find you?
Easy enough. I'm on Facebook, which is where I mostly post something every day. That's Hickey for Libertyville, or Matthew Hickey, Libertyville Trustee. It's one way to do it. The other is I've got a website. It's www.hickeyforlibertyville.com, and that's the best way to do it. Or just look at the village website under government. You'll find all of our names.
Absolutely. Okay, for
Have any
Trustee Hickey, I am Andrew Herman. Thanks for tuning
Thank you.
in. Have a great day, and we will see you next time.
Thanks.